And what is next? I think it's the great question we have nowadays, right? I mean, I just to contextualize, I live just 5 kilometers far from the epicenter of the COVID here in Italy. So I've been working with the Italian government since the beginning. Actually, 1 year now. From now, we had our focus here in my neighbor city, starting the 21st of February. So yeah, it has been already 1 year, and I've been working, developing strategies, and trying to think how our cities could learn with these happening, and what will be the future of our cities. I will share my screen, but it's much more for following the idea. Let me just see. I don't know if you can see already. Share screen. Um, can you see my screen now?
No, we will. Yes, we can see. I mean, yes, I can see
Okay.
the. We can see the screen.
Yeah, let me just start the presentation here. Actually,
I'll mute myself.
yeah, can you see now? Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. This is absolutely
Okay.
visible. Yes.
Yeah, because I cannot see you anymore. But anyway, let me just follow, and then we can discuss a little bit. So,
Okay.
as I said, in the beginning, we started to develop this strategy here in Europe first to try to mitigate the effects of the pandemic crisis. And of course, we started from the education. It was something that was touching me directly. I have two kids, and we were just coming back from a trip, the last trip of last year, that was a family trip, and then we were in Dubai, and when we arrived, we already had the problem. And the first impact we had in the family was exactly that the kids were not going to school. And Italy was and is still, but we are trying to move forward, but it was quite delayed in terms of digitalization. And when we talk about the educational system, it was completely analog, and that it was a big problem. And developing these strategies that started from education and finishing in economic recovery, we started to understand that was just not a crisis management, but it was a big change in the way we are going to see and manage our cities. And from this experience, we developed some theories here in Europe that we understand that this will be quite global. So the first big, let's say, movement that we noticed, that yes, we are still very deep into technology, very deep into to the new, let's say, industrial revolution. But now what we are forecasting is that the whole changes, and most part of the investments that we are going to have now will be focusing in technology that will empower citizens. We see, for example, Zoom. During the pandemic, Zoom got a growth that was really, we are not discussing during the pandemic the live in Mars or the flying cars. We are discussing about real problems and how to solve these real problems. So the first piece of advice for startups, and I've been following the Indian movement of startups since 2016, that we are going to have a lot of money directed to these new, let's say, rise of technology empowering citizens. We are shifting the world from a very globalized mindset to a local mindset now. It means that investments and efforts will come in countries or inside the countries to solve local problems. However, we are still keeping, let's say, these global network, this global environment, but localization will be the next big trend. And following this trend, we are going to have a lot of investments in our cities and in solutions that will bring a better life for our citizens. And the third big let's say movement we see as I don't think it is a result of the pandemic, but this is much more a kind of catalyzation effect of the pandemic. We were already seeing these what we call age of cities happening. I would say that, well, since, I don't know, 5 years ago, we started seeing more and more cities getting this central positioning in the world geopolitics. You see, when we had the Brexit, for example, the same day that the Brexit was approved in England, we had two big lists in London. The first list was citizens against the Brexit, and the second list was much more a milestone for London, and much more, let's say, theoretical concept for London. But London was voting by the citizens, or using the citizens were voting to become independent from England. And I mean, it was like if Britain was going out of Europe, London wanted to stay in Europe. Of course, this was just a kind of remark to show the power of London. London would never do this. It would be very difficult to talk about independence and these, city states nowadays. But the political influence and the economical influence of these cities will really change the geopolitical in the world. And bringing these to the context that cities are now developing. And when we talk about smart cities, we talk about cities basically. We don't talk about countries. We see a very big movement we had in India called the Smart City Mission, that was national, but it's still national governments can integrate local development, but the development is local. The place that citizens play the political role with the small p is exactly inside the cities. We don't talk to our governors, we don't talk to our president, or we talk to our mayors. We live in the cities, and that's what direct influence our lives. So what we see now, and it got really catalyzed, is this movement of, well, doesn't matter what's happening out of the boundaries of my city will start changing the reality and changing the world. So I've lived for 2 years in Barcelona. This was a project that started when I was living in Barcelona called Super Island. That was the basic idea was to solve a big problem of mobility in the city, and also a big problem of traffic disrupting the life of citizens. So what they did there in Barcelona, they took some districts, and it was specifically the district that I was living in. And this district called the Poblenou, this district was cut by two very wide, not highways, but streets, avenues in Barcelona. And the cars were using the districts just to cross from one avenue to another avenue. I mean, there was a lot of car traffic jam and car floating through the district that was not necessarily part of the district life. And what they did there, they created these what we call traffic limit areas, and they really gave back these roads, these streets to the citizens. So cars are not even passing over there in these districts. Actually, the cars that pass through the districts is just a car of people that lives in districts. It's quite complicated to pass through the district if you need just to go through, because it's just 30 kilometers per hour, very narrow. Citizens are everywhere. They took literally they took the streets and they turned on playgrounds for kids. So it was a very nice project. A lot of reluctance, a lot of people against these in the beginning, mainly the shoppers. the retailers of the district, they thought that they would cut their revenue by not having people passing through the district. And what happened was exactly the other way around. I mean, the locals started using more the local retailers, and cars that were just passing there, never stopped passing, people started going there. So it was very positive. And Barcelona has just announced that they are changing, and they are bringing more 20 districts inside the same thing. We saw also Paris, Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, announced as part of her re-election campaign that she would also give back the streets and the city to the Paris citizens. And she won, and she started a project called City 15 Minutes. That the idea is to bring any kind of facilities, any kind of public and private services within 15 kilometers, or 15 minutes walking distance, or bike distance from the house of the citizens. So the idea is that a citizen could live their life in a 15 minutes walking city. And this is really this follows somehow the soul of European cities that were not made. That we have very traditional old cities that were not made for cars, but now we are back to this thing. And what is interesting, that we see that this movement is not just in Europe. 2 weeks ago, Saudi Arabia announced a very interesting project called The Line, in the north part of Saudi Arabia. And the idea is that they will take completely out the streets from the cities. The idea is that they will build a line in the country that will cut the country. It will be around 170, 200 kilometers line, and all the logistics, all the mobility will be done under the ground, fast trains, with the metro, with even place for cars to go, or to bring the goods. But the citizens will live in the top part, and they will have the nature completely original, completely natural. And the idea is that we don't need to have these, let's say, we are going to have these commodities, these facilities, these services 5 minutes far from where we live. And you can cross the whole line from bottom to top in just 15 minutes. So the idea again is, COVID helped us to start rethinking our city with the main objective, that is quality of life. For me, smart cities were always about quality of life. We have been talking and discussing along years regarding technology and how technology could make our lives better. That was good. That was the smartness part of the deal. But we forgot resilience, and COVID came exactly to show us that resilience should be a very important piece of this game as smartness. So we see big smart cities, or remarkable renewed smart cities like Barcelona, like New York, like Beijing. They fall down with COVID. They were very smart, but the technology didn't help them to become resilient. And now I think that this will be a very important shift in our mindset. We have been talking a lot about resilience, and a part of the important part of the resilience definition is not just to survive and to move along crises, but it's also to learn with the crisis. So I think that we have a very good opportunity now to learn to what is happening. I will be very soon moving to a very big project in the Middle East, and this is what I will be bringing there in terms of let's say, a new mindset for smart cities. Smart cities means that The cities are evolving because the society is becoming smarter. We must keep this in mind. I think I have just 15 minutes. If you leave me talking, I'm very passionate about this topic. I really love what I do for a living, and I really believe that we are making let's say a better city, a better world with this concept. So thank you very much again for being here discussing our ideas.
Wonderful, Renato De Castro, Salvador Smart Cities expert, and you are really passionate. Your presentation reflected your work, and as you have very rightly mentioned, that cities are getting smarter, people are getting smarter. We are so used to being, in the staying in a very smarter environment. It's really important that we have to evolve every day, and with technology, we are actually evolving. We thank you so much for your time, and we much appreciate for the fact that you have been in the transit 8 hours delay flight, and still you have been able to make it out. And we can see the background as well, where you are speaking from. So that also goes on to show how much passionate you are. So we should be doing a lot of such conferences and network forums in the days to come, in the months to come, virtual as well as physical. We look forward to seek your participation, have your participation to make it more enriching. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes.
I'm already in my office. This is a picture that I always keep in my back because it reminds me that the world is connected and we should make this connection become wider. But yeah, thank you very much. It was really a great pleasure.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Renato. Thanks a
Pleasure.
lot.
Yes, pleasure. So we may can we request you to exit it now, leave because we have to conclude the valedictory session here. So if you can just leave the studio and please join us for the valedictory session as an
Sure,
audience. I'm sure you have the delegate link with you.
sure.
Do you
Thank you
have
very
the
much.
delegate link?
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Warm greetings. Thank you so much. So with this, we are at the fag end of Ignite 2021. And it has been indeed a great, enriching experience. I was fortunate to have been given the forum, so I front ended. People have seen me, all the stakeholders, but it is important that there is a set of team that is working in the back end, and there is one more set of team that is working in the back end of the back end. So we cannot move them, otherwise, we will not be able to be seen here. And I now hand it over to the core team here, and Fahim, over to you. If you can just conclude it.
Thank you, Dr. Ashri Datta. And you have been our SOS, if I can use that term.
I've learned so much, all the tracks, and I am an expert now. Thank you so much for this privilege, and it was wonderful. So kindly over to you. Please
So
extend your.
thank you, Dr. Ashri.
Yeah, yeah.
So, first of all, I would like to thank each and everyone who got associated with this mega virtual conclave. The event was executed over 4 days' time with at least we can say 2 months of preparation, and with each which we started from 3rd to 6th of February, which each day focusing on each sectors. So we chose 4 sectors, 4 core sectors to deliberate on, to basically disseminate this knowledge, to provide a platform to the people. So day one, like we focused, day one was on 3rd of February, which focused on SMEs. Day two focused on BFSI. Day three was on digital transformation, and day four, which was the last day, which was on smart cities. So there were around more than 100 speakers. There was around 20 plus sessions, 1,000 plus audience who have joined. And I would like to thank the speakers, the audiences, and most importantly, my team, which you can see on the screen from Farhan, Dr. Rashri Datta, Sania, Bernard, Zahid, Rashid, Raman, and many people who are still who did a lot of work at the back end. I would like to thank them for making this event a huge success. And last and not the least, it would not have been possible without our partners, Tata Tele Business Services, who was our silver partner, Tally Solutions, our ERP partner, and Simplify, our associate partner. We shall be coming up with the report with recommendations very soon. We shall make the announcements, our next programs of our next programs, like soon. The content that got generated here at this forum is simply unmatched. Please watch out for this. This is what the transformation has done. That we are able to connect with all our valuable dignitaries. We had two more virtual conferences earlier. We will come back with Ignite 2022 with more holistic approach next year. Thank you, and see you all at our next conclave. Thank you, my colleagues. And if anyone has to say any closing remark, any words from Sania, Bernard, Farhan, Rashid, Raman, Zahid, Rashri, you can please add on from here. Rashi, you're muted as usual.
Okay, yes, I've been doing that since last 4 days. But I think we should all talk. Everyone should talk at least something about